What is up, team? Welcome back to another episode of the Red Storm Rapid Reaction Podcast. I'm Cole Latchall. That's Pat Kane, who comes in at the last second as we're starting recording. Brother Sean's in today, hanging out with us, and we are talking about the 7th-ranked St. John's Red Storm beating Butler 76-70 to take at least a share of the Big East crown. For only the 6th time in program history. They have now set a record for Big East Conference wins at 16. Pat, what do you have to say, man? Did you ever think in your wildest dreams, year 2 Rick Pitino, we'd be regular season conference champions?
Well, I don't think I would have wrote it off, but I certainly wouldn't have expected it. I just want to give you two a big shout out to the Brothers Grimm stepping up here. I'm busy. It's sectional week. I don't have all the time in the world to spend. Of course, I wanted to jump on here and share our thoughts on the celebratory night, a tough victory at Butler. We knew it wouldn't be easy. The guys dug down deep. They got it done. And, yes, they captured at least a share. But as we heard Rick Pitino say, we heard R.J. Lewis and Zuby say, they're not interested in sharing that title. They want to get their own. And Saturday, it seems like a bad day to be Seton Hall Pirate.
Absolutely, buddy. Absolutely. It's bad news for Seton Hall. Sean, how much celebrating did you do last night, bud?
Oh my God, dude. I mean, as like what are we now? Almost 30-year diehard St. John's fans. I mean,
gosh, we're getting old. What the hell happened?
Right. I mean, party like it's 1992 and maybe 1985. We don't know yet, but yeah. Bad day to be a Seton Hall Pirate. I really hope that this Saturday is a garden party. And it's a coronation of the new but old beast of the Big East.
I loved what Rick said too about, like Pat said, not sharing, but also saying that he's not interested in cutting down the nets on Saturday if we are to beat Seton Hall. It's like this was just expected. Like we're not celebrating anything. Jobs still left to be done. Like so, yeah, just crazy.
Not content. And before I head out, guys, I just wanted to make sure the fans didn't think I was ducking the fact that Left Harris had a DNP, and he'll be back stronger than ever. We needed to just grind that one out, and for whatever reason, Rick didn't go too far on the bench. But still, Butler's not an easy place to play, and we needed to make plays late. Guys stepped up, hit shots, and got stops when needed. Seems like we've had close to 10 games this year where in years past felt like they'd be losses. Teams capture momentum, come back, take a lead, and instead of crumbling, we just have an answer every time. Maybe that's coaching. Maybe that's the experience of our best players. Regardless, I'm not complaining about it. We're learning these lessons in wins, and it's just one game after another keeps adding on to a fabulous season. But we're not done yet. We still got hay to make and to keep improving and inch closer to that top 5. That starts Saturday against Seton Hall, baby.
Fire me up, Coach Pat. Fire me up.
It's crazy. We've said it time and time again this season. This team just refuses to lose. Like even on a game like last night where they don't look like they have it, where they're not shooting great from the field or from 3, they just find a way to make the right plays at the time and get a win. It's just incredible. And like you said, I don't know if that's coaching. I don't know if it's the players. It's the perfect mix. If the stars align, God, Jesus Christ, like it's just all happening, and we deserve it. Nobody deserves it more than us after all the years of dog shit basketball we put up with this program. Like Rick Pitino has got us on the right track, and it's just an absolute godsend. I've said it before. Thank you, Mike Rapoli. Thank you, Rick Pitino. Thank you, Father Shanley. Like I couldn't be happier.
All right, guys, I got to jump off, but thanks you too. And a quick shout out to our big follower, Tommy O. Tommy O is hooking me up with some tickets. I'll be there opening around for the Big East tournament. Can't wait.
Awesome.
Can't wait. So shout out to Tommy O. Shout out to all the fans out there. Hope to be a lot of people in that building rooting on St. John's. Hopefully we get that 12 p.m. game. But Cole, Brother Sean, thank you so much. Bring these guys home. All the rest of you fans, listen to these two guys. Thanks, fellas. I really do appreciate it.
Thanks, Pat.
All right. Peace. Oh, no, brother.
I got him.
There we go.
Technical difficulties, folks. Come on. We're not the most savvy here.
You tried to get rid of me, but
Shawnee. So let's talk a little bit about the Butler game, and then this is going to be a little different than our usual podcast. We'll talk about the game a little bit. We'll rapid react, as our name, De Plume, would suggest. but like we're also just going to talk a little celebration talk about our years as fans, some stories back in the day, kind of the nonsense we've cheered for over the years and how lucky we are to be where we're at now. But RJ Lewis played absolutely tremendously yesterday. Very efficient, 9 for 16 shooting from the field, 3 for 6 from deep, 24 points, 4 boards. I thought Kadari was terrific, playing with 2 pulled groins, according to Rick Pitino. Didn't seem to be hampered too much by that. 13 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals. Most importantly, and Pat called out him only having 0 turnovers the other day against UConn, only 1 turnover in 33 minutes. Just his ability to take care of the ball is what helps this team win, especially these games that are close when they're not playing their best and they're not shooting great. Davon Smith, 10 points, 6 boards. Again, only 1 turnover in 32 minutes. Zuby, who really struggled, didn't play much, only 8 minutes in the first half, finishes with 12 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, some absolute clutch hook shots late in the game. The last one that he made put SJU up 70-66 with 59 seconds to go. I think that pretty much like iced the game. I thought Aaron Scott was tremendous. Obviously, hyperextended his knee. We're hoping he's okay. Came back in the game, didn't look to be too hampered. I think it was like on that dunk attempt where he kind of landed awkwardly. But finishes with 8 points, 6 rebounds, a team high 38 minutes, despite that little bit of time being off the court with an injury. Just absolute incredible dog performance. Aaron Scott might be my favorite player on this team. He didn't come in with the fanfare of Davon Smith or Kadari Richmond. He's an absolute dog. Obviously, we saw him the other day against UConn bleeding from the mouth, like absolute warrior. Shout out to his dad, Taurus, if Taurus is listening. We love your boy. Thanks for raising him right. Vince Uchuku, I thought with Zuby's minutes, I thought he gave you good minutes. 14 minutes off the bench, 7 points, 3 rebounds. He's been criticized by some of the fan base for how he's looked, that calling him maybe not really a Big East level big. Obviously, we know Rick Pitino likes to really make guys progress year over year. So maybe people will be eating those words next year if Vince comes out and he's an absolute monster and makes that jump that Zuby did. But I thought he really looked serviceable coming off the bench. Sean, what did you think about the team's performance?
Yeah, I mean, awesome. I mean, is there a way to be a quiet Big East player of the year? Because I feel like you watch RJ, right, and just super efficient. Like, you look up and you're like, RJ has how many points? And then conversely, is there a way to be a super loud like Davon Smith, where it's like, Davon Smith, it seemed like every big spot he was hitting an awesome shot, and it was like he only had 10 points. It was kind of crazy. Love Aaron Scott. Thought we had big minutes from Vince. Obviously, like there was that longer stretch where Zuby got a little bit of a breather, and I thought Vince held his own, if not was exceptional in that role. Yeah, I mean, RJ from 3 from distance, obviously something that we're severely lacking. That was gigantic. He was 3 for 6, you said?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as the team again struggled from 3-point, they only shot 26% from 3 as a team. But yeah, RJ led the way, 3 for 6.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting because, we've had a couple of good shooting games now, and we've preached on this podcast forever, speaking about shooting form and missing small and everything like that. Like, we did not think that this team was as bad of a shooting team as the statistics were showing. Rick had kind of echoed what we had said. Obviously, like, Rick knew better than us, but so it's interesting that we've had multiple different guys with good shooting performances. It just kind of shows you that it's within them to do so. Obviously, Ao, I don't know how big of a factor he's going to be come tournament time. He had that big shooting performance. We've had RJ now, Sim, Davon's, had games where he shot really well. Obviously, friend of the show, son Aaron Scott, has had some awesome shooting performances. So I think it's within them. I think like putting them together. I mean, I've seen multiple Big East pundits say if St. John's is making threes, I don't know who beats them.
Yep. Yeah. That's the thing I talked about on our last podcast. Zach Braziller, who does great work for the New York Post, had sort of said at multiple different times earlier in the season that he kind of saw their ceiling as the Sweet 16. And I don't feel that way at all. I mean, obviously now we're talking about seeding potential, maybe even to be as much as a 2 seed if they win out. But it's like, if they are hitting their shots, like, I mean, you legitimately could be cutting down nets. Like, you could be a Final Four. You could be a national championship team. I mean, if they get hot, if they shoot the way like they did in that Baylor game, I mean, we know that they have the ability to get white hot and make shots. The tournament's a crapshoot. It's all about who makes their shots, who gets hot at the right time. St. John's can get hot for a couple game stretch, and we can end up being national championships. We can go farther than this university has ever seen in the and I don't want to jinx us, but I mean, it's on the table. Anything's possible with Rick Pitino.
Yeah. And one thing, when our fellow Johnnies are filling out their brackets, obviously we're going to be over the moon and probably pick St. John's to win the whole thing. But like when you're filling out your brackets, right? Like St. John's floor is so high because they play good defense, because they have good guard play, because they rebound the ball well, all of those things. But their ceiling is high, right? Because, you know, even if they have a horrific like off shooting game, like their defense can carry them, so like the floor is there. But if they shoot the ball well, like I don't like that combination. Like I don't see how that's able to be beat. And
again, like I said, like you're playing for seeding at this point. I mean, it's on the table. You have the ability to win out. You got to take one game at a time. You got to get past Seton Hall on Saturday, but you beat Seton Hall. You clinch sole possession of the Big East regular season crown. You beat Marquette on the road. That's another huge, big quality win. Then again, can you get hot over a couple day stretch? If you can win, you're going to be the 1 seed. You win the Big East tournament. I think you have to be a 2 seed at that point. You're not a 3 seed. Then you're certainly not a 4. Like you have to be a 2 seed. And at that point, you're favored to make the Sweet 16. You should definitely win those first 2 games. And from there, again, you get hot, like who knows what can happen. But Sean, let's talk how far we've come. Again, I mentioned this is only the 6th time St. John's has won the Big East regular season championship. Did you ever think in your wildest dreams that, we talk about our story, we're both alumni, Dad taught at St. John's, so there was no ability to go anywhere else. School was paid for. We were going to St. John's. So we've been, since we left high school and even before that, we've been huge Johnny's fans. My first 4 years of undergrad were the last 4 years of Norm Roberts, so I did not get to enjoy any basketball whatsoever. Sean got to at least enjoy that one magical season with Steve Lavin in Lavin's first year. That was my 6 months off, and then returned to school to get my MBA, and then got to see the bad rest of Lavin's years and then leave again before he takes him to the tournament in his last year. I mean, we had to sit through Chris Mullen. We had to sit through Mike Anderson. How happy are you for, not only for us, obviously we're mega fans, but for the entire St. John's fan base that has put up with just absolute putrid basketball really for the entirety since Mike Jarvis's good years? How happy are you for everyone?
Yeah. I mean, just to preface, first off, those guys that played under these seasons that we're talking about, they were dumb. They were put in tough situations, and they were ultimate, just hoopers. They were great. So it's no negative talk on them. But just for background information, Cole and I have been season ticket holders, obviously recently with family stuff, but I mean, we started 2006, where we were going every single game, every year.
Times in the student section when there was 12 people.
we were reminiscing, we used to lay down on the bleachers. You could lay down and take a nap if you wanted to. It was I mean, that just where you come from that kind of stuff, and just that's what we had, especially at a place like St. John's where you don't have a football team. And it's we just happened to come from basketball family where it was we were basketball obsessed, and we were so excited with the history of St. John's and everything like that, how cool it was to be a part of that. Even when we were bad, you and I took so much pride in that.
Yep. Yeah, it's always been a part. St. John's has always been a part of our identity, and unfortunately, it hasn't really been a good thing. I talked on a previous podcast with Pat, me working in the finance world. I've never been on an interview with an older male and not spoken about St. John's basketball when they've seen my resume. Every single time, 1985, Chris Mullin, Walter Berry comes up every single time. I was talking about sort of my 6 months off before I went back to St. John's to get my MBA. I've been blessed to be fairly successful in my career, but I credit Steve Lavin in that first year and you being there and getting to have such amazing experiences and texting me and saying, Dwight Hardy just made a magical layup against Pitt and the Garden's rocking. I credit that and Steve Lavin with me going back and getting my MBA. St. John's was going to keep paying. I didn't really ever think about going to grad school, but I was like, so basketball obsessed, like you said. I was like, screw it, I deserve to watch good basketball. I'm going back and getting my MBA. And then that led me down a career in accounting and haven't looked back since. But it's a magical thing. And I'm getting goosebumps right now just thinking about the fact that our team is ranked 7th in the nation. I mean, teams have lost in front of us this week. Realistically, probably going to move up a couple spots again. You're talking about a top 5 team potentially in the nation. Again, potential on there to be a 2 seed in the tournament. It's just, I legitimately don't know that I ever thought I would see this day. And again, God bless Rick Pitino. God bless Mike Rapoli. Like, never thought this would happen.
And we never want to discredit like the new like bandwagon kind of fans and stuff like that. Like, we need you. Get on board. Like, oh. But I mean, like, for the newer viewers and the folks that are just kind of like,
and not even sorry, not to interrupt, but not even to say like, necessarily bandwagoner fans. I've said it to Pat, and it's not a criticism on New York fandom. I mean, we're from Pennsylvania. Like, the Eagles stadium is going to be sold out every single Eagles game, regardless if they're 1-16 or, winning a Super Bowl. New York's not like that. They're obviously tremendous, knowledgeable, very passionate sports fans, but I've compared it in a previous podcast with Pat almost to like a Miami type sports fan where they're not going to show up if the team's not good. There's too many things competing for your interest in New York City. Why would you spend money to go watch St. John's get their ass kicked by 30 against, a top 25 team when you can, go to an amazing restaurant or something like that? But when a team's good, they're going to pack that place, and they have all season. I mean, selling out the game, even UConn, we know how much they travel, store south, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, now that place was 75% St. John's. It's incredible. Kudos to all the fans. It doesn't matter if you're alumni, if you're a Subway alumni, if you're like Pat, just somebody who tuned in one day and liked to root for the team that was wearing red and then made this part of his life. The more the merrier. Welcome on board. Jump in. We got one of the greatest coaches of all time. Let's have some fun.
And we said off camera, you were saying like you were talking about seeding for the NCAA tournament, and you were saying like about like preferential treatment as far as like locations are involved, and obviously like Newark is out there and Providence is out there. And you had mentioned just kind of like off the cuff, you were like, that place is going to be packed with St. John's fans. And then I kind of like stopped you and I was like, do you realize like how crazy that is? Like,
if it's Newark, you got to think. If it's Newark, you got to think it's going to be 80% St. John's.
This is a rabid fan base.
I know that's right down the street from Buddy Frank and General's house. So I'm sure him and his wife will be hosting a big SJUBB get together. I'm just telling them now that they're going to be hosting that. So.
Yeah, right. I'm sure he's got his fingers and toes crossed for that. Yeah, but I mean, it's just. And I stopped you and I like, how crazy is that for us to say that? I mean, like coming from a place where we were rabid fans in the student section when there was 5 people there. Mm-hmm. And now we're saying like, is this building big enough to hold the fan base that's going to be coming?
It's crazy. Crazy. Well, Sean, I think we've said all we can say. I apologize to the fans who tune in and expecting a big breakdown of the Butler game. There's not too much to say. St. John's beat them by 6. They played St. John's basketball. We're now at least have a share of the Big East regular season championship. If I can finish just making a plea to fans, like just relish every moment of this season. Like we don't know how long we've got Rick Pitino. We don't know how many times we can put together another magical roster like this. We've waited for so long and like we finally got it. Like just enjoy the time with your loved ones, watching the game, seeing generations of fans at MSG is the coolest thing in the world to me. Like just enjoy it and celebrate these kids. Obviously Saturday against Seton Hall is senior day. Every one of those kids deserves a standing ovation from everybody there and just have fun, enjoy the rest of the season. So for Anthony Mason Jr., I'm Cole Latshaw. That's brother Sean. Thanks to Pat for hopping in quick. Talk to you next time. Peace.